I'd like to call the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here today. I'd like to make the statement. Notice to the public as to the time, date, place, and agenda for the meeting was given by publishing and legal notice in the April 1st, 2019 Aiken Standard. Notice to contiguous property owners was mailed, and public notice signs posted on the properties where action by the board was requested on or before April the 3rd of 2019. Also, notices of the meetings were sent on or by April 18th, 2019 for posting in the city webpage, and to the city clerk for posting on the Finance Administration Notice Board and the Municipal Building Notice Board at least 24 hours before the meeting. Agenda sheets were mailed or emailed to interested parties. It is unlawful for any person giving testimony to this board to knowingly provide false information according to Section 22(9) of the Aiken Municipal Code. Each infraction is a separate offense with a penalty of up to 30 days in jail and or a $1,092.50 fine. Okay, we have the minutes from the February 26, 2019 regular meeting. Do we have any corrections or changes?
Just the correction I already noted.
Okay, that wasn't on the minutes though.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay. Voting? Everybody for it? Okay. Thank you, and you were not here at the last meeting, is that correct? Okay. Okay, Glenn, you want to pass the final orders then?
Yes, ma'am.
Do these have to be in a blue pen or is that okay with the blue?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, that takes care of our old business. New business, application 1993-009 has been withdrawn. And also, I would like to ask that we go ahead and hear application 19-92006. The petitioner, Robert Hutchinson, has requested this to be continued. Do I have...
I believe we would need a motion and a second to amend the agenda if the board were to consider, but there is a requested continuance on this item, both from the applicant and from staff to get some further legal information, and then bring that back to the board.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we do a continuance for application 1992-006 to allow more time.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. It carries. Now, does that take care of both us moving it ahead and to the second thing? Would that be all right?
That should be sufficient.
Okay. Okay. Okay, now that leaves us with application 19-93010 and also application number 19-92005 that we'll hear at the same time. Okay, Mr. Bland, has the meeting been properly posted? Are there any inquiries?
These items have been properly posted, and there were no inquiries on items 3, B, and C.
Okay, that sounds good then. Okay, if we could have your presentation then for the applicant.
Right. So the site is Millbrook Elementary School at 255 East Pine Log Road. in accordance with section 315 of the zoning ordinance, educational uses are allowed in an RS zoned property. This is RS10, residential single family, by special exception. Now, the school itself predates the current zoning ordinance by at least 40 years. And was constructed around 53, so it predates the zoning ordinance for this area, at least the current version of it. So what is being proposed is, one, to essentially reconfigure the school. This was part of the school improvements sales tax initiative, and a number of the classrooms, particularly the western wings of the school, as I would call them, open directly outdoors. The proposed change would essentially add on to, and this is kind of the, going back to the overhead here, the two structures you see kind of on the east of the property would be maintained, and essentially a new building would bridge those two, would bridge those two buildings and a two-story structure. It would then remove the western wings of the building and add a significant amount of additional storage as required by SCDOT for automobile stacking. Back when the school was constructed, I think bus usage was much higher and private drop-offs were much lower. Those trends have reversed. But you would essentially maintain the bus line on the south side, which would need to be reconfigured for size, and it would also remove some diagonal parking in that location. And then the on the northwestern portion of the property, the car stacking drive would be significantly altered and increased. You can kind of see a difference here between, there's kind of the current layout in front of you and then the proposed layout. In addition to this, there is a variance request for the planting strip required along East Pine Log Road. Right now, there is an existing parking lot in the southeast corner of the property that is roughly about 15 feet setback from the road. The ordinance in section 4.6.4 B requires that planting strips on lots that are over 500 feet deep should have a 25-foot planting strip. So what is being proposed is to continue that 15-foot pre-existing legal non-conforming planting strip along Pine Log Road to, again, some parking is being removed from some diagonal parking along the bus lane, so that could be used as is just a bus lane. You don't have to worry about diagonal parking conflicting with the bus traffic, and that would be reoriented to kind of extend that southern parking lot further to the west. There was a previous case in 2003, I believe. Let me make sure my notes here, but a similar 2003 for Millbrook Baptist Church, who had a very similar situation where they were expanding some parking at that point and had a legal non-conforming parking lot that ranged from 0 to 15 foot, a 0 to 15 foot planting strip. Again, that's just directly southwest of this location, and they were essentially able to kind of continue the line of a parking lot as a parking expansion that was less than the required planting strip depth. And staff would be glad to answer any questions you may have on the application. We kind of tried to look through the code to see if if there's precedent for requiring special exceptions for, again, special exceptions for schools within residential areas, RS areas, require special exception per our use table. A similar thing was done at Schofield, I think, on a remodel or something up there several years prior. So we kind of followed that same template for this.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Bland?
So the planting strip would just remain exactly as it is?
It would continue as is, and actually, I believe that they plan on kind of augmenting that planting. There's not really much planted in the planting strip currently, and I think the thought would be to be able to kind of augment that a little bit better than what it is now.
From what I observed, that planting strip, and there's a chain link fence that follows the planting strip, and then it's offset somewhat and then continues westward. That planting strip that we see there now would just continue right on. The fence would be, I guess, relocated, and I'm not sure if you have a photo of it there, but
I think that's the closest thing I have. So this is looking kind of directly, I'm looking directly west here on this photo. So that's the chain link fence. Pine Log Road is the road there to the left.
okay. Yeah, okay, I'm with you. But essentially, it'd be just continue on with the same planting strip
That's correct.
westward. Okay.
Okay? So right here.
Yeah,
sorry.
that was kind of my question on the fence.
And with regard to the fence, I would probably leave that up to the applicant on providing some additional detail on that. I'm not exactly sure how they had planned on addressing that, but it assumed, I mean, basically it'd be the same depth of that planting strip.
Okay, is the applicant here to speak? If you'll introduce yourself, please.
Members of the board, my name is Michael Wenzinger, and I'm an architect with GMC. We're representing Aiken County Public School District for these applications. But as Ryan pointed out, it's a special exception and then the variance, as you're aware. I think the special exception is fairly clear, obviously, with the history of the school and the neighborhood. It's something that's required by the ordinance, which is why we pursued the application in order to perform the renovations to the school. But effectively, as you may be aware, the district lines were redrawn, so that increases the capacity of the school. Security is obviously a big thing these days, more than ever. In schools, and as Ryan pointed out as well, when you look at the existing wings, they're really not secure at all. You've got 30 exterior doors. There's people walking in and out of classrooms. It's very difficult to monitor. They also have an issue with traffic flow. Ryan, if you don't mind going to that hatched gray plan you're looking at.
I'm not sure I actually have the hatched one.
Right there.
There we go.
So what you can see is that in the existing plan, the stacking drive, beyond not being long enough, is actually much further up the page to the north. What that creates is also a security issue with when kids are coming in or out of the school, is that parent drop-off is significantly separated from bus drop-off, so it's very difficult to monitor again. So one of the things we did, in addition to complying with SCDOT's requirements, is we consolidated those to a single point of entry. So now all kids come through the same door, whether they rode a bus or whether they came with their parents. They also all leave through the same door, whether they came on a bus or rode with their parents. The stacking length, you'll see, will significantly alleviate the congestion that's currently on Henry Street. That's something we actually took drone footage of and saw the cars kind of spilling out onto Henry Street. That's something we looked at very closely and diagrammed. In the ARMS manual through SCDOT, at a 600 capacity school, which is what we are currently, they require 1,200 linear feet of stacking length. For an 800 student school, they require 1,500 linear feet of stacking length. So we're actually providing just over the 1,500 linear feet. So what that means is we're accommodating the delta between 600 and 800 in growth, but we're also adding another 500 feet just for the base student population. So in addition to accommodating the 200 additional students, we're also much better accommodating the students that are already there, getting those off of Henry Street and onto the site by providing a proper stacking lane. The bus drop-off currently has angled parking on the bus drop-off loop. SCDOT does not allow angled parking off of the stacking drive or the bus loop, for that matter, so that's something we had to do away with. As you can imagine, they have issues with cars backing into buses or vice versa, and people getting trapped, at dismissal time. So there's actually a 30-foot drive requirement for the bus drive. So what that does is it sort of cramps our space. So this is kind of switching now, I guess, to the special or the variance, is that the 30 feet, once we do that, we really don't have any more room between where we have to add the addition and then, you know, the right of way. So once we have the parking, our buffer, the 30 feet in the school, we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, if you will, as far as getting everything to fit. So what we did is we met with Ryan, his folks, and looked at that option of just extending the parking area. We felt that, you know, it was consistent with what was already there, you know, so it's not a dramatic change by any means. Like you guys have pointed out, we're effectively just continuing the line that's already there. We will augment that area with some additional landscaping, so it'll improve the situation. You know, generally an intent of that landscaping is like when people are parking, the lights aren't shining onto the road. So that's something we would improve with the new work. And then to your point about the fence would effectively just be relocated and continue. So right now you've got that black chain link fence that jogs in toward the site. Instead of jogging in, it'll just continue straight. So we'll just kind of pick a picket, you know, and then extend the same fence along the road there. So it'll generally be consistent. And I think another good point too is just that you're looking at the comprehensive plan, you look at the you know, the guiding principles, you know, investment or transformation. It's definitely consistent with that, right? You know, we're investing in the community and trying to improve the safety and quality of the school with state-of-the-art facilities and a new, safe, integrated campus. It's alleviating traffic congestion in the area currently. If you look at the residences to the left, it's actually pulling the school further away from those houses, which I think is an improvement. Currently, you know, I think we have some residents here, but currently there's a playground right in their backyard, so that'll move and be relocated further away. So, and it'll also be a buffer, a full western property edge to a planting strip. So that'll further shield the school from the residences and vice versa. We move the buildings away. We also move the activity away. I think which will be an improvement to the residents that are living to the west. And then lastly, looking in 2003 at Millbrook Baptist Church, you know, it's a good precedent just down the street that had a very similar issue, and I think actually it was closer to the road than we are. So we're looking to maintain about 15 feet on average, which is shown in the diagram in our application. So if that kind of summarizes the two, if you guys have any specific questions or like us to clarify anything, I'd be happy to.
Tell me how many buses will be used by the school, do you know?
It varies, but there's I want to say it's like 11 total buses, but several of those are special education. So
Right.
there's special education vans and buses. Millbrook has a fairly robust special education population and service they offer. So that length is built, you know, to accommodate the stacking requirements for the buses.
Okay, and how many buses will that hold?
Honestly, you know, we're still working on diagramming that, but I think we can pretty reasonably fit the buses, you know, all in that area. The special needs classes, those pick up throughout the day, so that helps us that everyone's not arriving at the same time. So some of the buses will come, you know, at different times throughout the day.
Also point out the playground for me, please.
So the playgrounds would now be located up here.
Okay.
So kindergarten playground would be right here, and that allows the kindergarten classrooms to have direct access out to the playground. And then upper grades playground would be on this upper edge here,
Okay.
which actually is currently located there. It just be improved.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah. Would you go back to that previous slide?
To this one?
That one? And so the buses and special needs vehicles will enter on the north side also? If you point that out, the traffic flow.
They'll come in here
Okay,
and then out. So you'll also notice that this drive's been changed.
Yes.
This drive used to be on a pretty sharp angle, so if you ever turned out of there, you
Yes.
really have to crank your neck back to see oncoming traffic. So that's also something we're trying to improve with, you know, making that more of a 90, so you can have better visibility to oncoming traffic.
okay. So the buses, when I was there today, I was in all of that, okay, trying to back out and so forth and get mixed in. But the buses and special needs vehicles will enter there. And is that parking area that I see just south of that, what do you call it,
Correct.
stacking lane?
That would be staff.
Staff, okay.
You're saying along Pine Lawn Road?
Correct,
Correct, yeah, this would be primarily staff.
Okay.
Visitors would be over here, and they would just come into the school, but this would be staff. So that's something staff, you know, they're not leaving before the students, so you know, it's not a congestion issue.
okay. Well, I circled around several times, and Henry Street was jammed by the time I got
Oh, yeah.
the second time around. And so you're saying that the traffic that's backed up on Henry Street now will be more closer to the district parking area, and that will be their entrance and exits for the students, is that right?
Correct. So parents will enter and exit here. They'll turn in this lane on the left, and there'll be a right out only on the right. So this is where parents will come in. So currently, you'll see cars stacking up here and in this direction. So what we're doing is, effectively, you'll have 500 feet of current congestion on Henry Street that will be replaced in addition to the added students. So, basically 500 feet worth of cars can now be on the drive and not on Henry Street, which is significant.
Where
It's a
are
lot
they
of cars.
stopping to drop off? Where do they actually stop?
So there'll be covered canopies here on both sides. So as kids come out of the school, and there's actually an existing covered canopy here as well. At some level, that'll be up to the school, and we'll just kind of gauge that as far as how many parents they have. If you've ever been to any of those drop-offs, it's a well-oiled machine that's choreographed, very efficiently. So they can drop off anywhere along this length or here as well.
So where's the entrance going to be? You said they were all
Entrance
going,
is right here.
okay.
And there'll be a plaza out in front of the school, so kids can kind of come out and go to either direction.
Well, what's that other little hoop at the top?
This one here,
Yes.
this is an
No,
existing.
over to the left.
In the dark.
Yes.
This is required by the fire marshal, so this is fire access. So that'll only be used in the event of an emergency, but it allows a fire truck to get closer to this courtyard area. And they'll actually have a dry standpipe, so they'll effectively hook their hose up, and then they'll have like a Siamese connection in the courtyard. And then they hook their other hose up, and they can fight access. That's a requirement of the fire marshal.
Okay.
So, on the parking, so the total number of spots that this new configuration will have will be how many?
It's blurry up here, but
Yeah.
honestly, it's like, I don't know if you can read it right, 180 something, but it's an increase of 20 total spots to the site.
What you had?
And so currently, the school districts, the principal have commented saying that the existing parking is not adequate. So obviously, when we add 200 students, we're also going to add some staff to accommodate those students. So being that it's not adequate currently, and we're adding some staff, I think it's more than reasonable to need 20 additional spots.
That's what I was going to ask, is how many parking spots versus the faculty, because I know there was not enough parking there before.
Yeah, sure. So it's been increased, and what we've done is we've worked with the district. So like when we submit to OSF for our SD submittal, part of that is I think it's the F6 form, but it's traffic. So the district traffic director goes ahead and gives us all the numbers as far as how many staff need parking spots, how many visitor spots they need, how many buses there are. So all of that's been coordinated with the counts that are being provided.
So there will be enough for the
Yes.
faculty now?
Yeah, trust me, that's definitely been important with Mr. Metz. So we've talked about that with the principal and coordinated that with him.
So, the void that I see as the new car line snakes around, that's what, just open area?
So the other challenge is that the storm drainage on this site is also undersized.
I'm sorry, what is?
The storm drainage
Okay.
on the site is also undersized. So currently, there's a retention pond here. That's going to be relocated. There'll be a new detention pond here.
There we go.
That is something that.
No, there.
So there'll be and you can kind of see it diagrammatically
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Basically, there'll be some retention here, and there'll be retention there as well. So that open space will be landscaped. There'll be trees and other things there. There'll also be a, quote-unquote pond. It's a dry pond. It's not kept wet, but in the event of a large rain, it would fill with water and then move out.
How many lanes wide is where the parents drop off?
So it's 2 lanes wide. Technically, they're not allowed to double stack cars. What the district does when we leave is up to the district. But SDO DOT, they don't give us any benefit for that. They do require the width. Again, it's a fire access thing. So you'll see that the reason it's wider here is one option would be is that we make the entire drive 32 feet wide, which is a significant expense from a pavement standpoint. So what we can do is by consolidating the entry and exit drives, in an emergency, a fire truck would basically come here, they would come the wrong way down traffic. You can see this is striped portion here that's wider that gets them to the front door. But effectively, it's a 2-lane road.
Okay, so that double part, it'd be 4 lanes, 2
Correct.
one way and 2 the other?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else?
This has absolutely nothing to do with your variance.
However,
However, I attended that school in 1954,
Okay.
year after it was opened. There's a bronze plaque that they put up there when they opened the school up. It's still there. Do you have any plans as the architect to relocate that plaque? It's a large bronze plaque. I took a picture of it.
Is that over the lower portion on the left, the original school?
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if we're still in schematic design, so we're not in too high a detail yet. I will tell you that, and we can certainly reuse it, yes. But one thing we've done is, like, there's the Millbrook Elementary letters on the sign. We're actually planning to reuse those. So we definitely want to be mindful and respectful of the history of the campus in the neighborhood, and and play to that obviously with the new renovation. So we haven't gotten to level of detail, to be honest, of even seeing that plaque or looking at where to relocate it. But hearing that is something that if it's important to the community, it's something we want to respect, and I'm sure we can find a way to utilize that in the new design.
Okay,
So.
great. Thank you.
Is your
Yeah, of
name
course.
on there?
My name is not on there. I was in first grade in 1954, so no, it's not on there.
A honor roll for first grade or something?
No.
okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak for the application? Please. Wait. Come up to the front and identify yourself and your address, please.
My name is Jason Brantley. I live at 102 Collier Street. And he's just talking about traffic on Henry Street. We do have a large problem with traffic on Collier Street. And he said they're going to put a retaining pond right there on the backside of Collier Street. We already have a drainage problem now with water when it rains hard of draining because the way the road sits. If it drains that way, that pond's going to stay wet most of the time when it rains a lot. That's going to cause mosquito problems in our neighborhood now, because I didn't know there was going to be a retaining pond there. But not also, the state came through 8 or 9 years ago and put sidewalks down Collier Street. But they didn't curb the sidewalk. They left dirt between the road and the sidewalk. So now when the cars come down there and park and drive down, all of our yards between the sidewalk and the road, we have no grass anymore because it gets run over by the cars and it's a muddy mess. So if y'all are going to expand the school and have more cars come down, more students come down, can y'all look about doing something about the streets and making the streets better for the people who live out there?
I'm not sure that we can do that. Can we, Ryan? Can we?
Well, our street is inside the city limits. When we annexed in back 20 years ago, we had Collier Street annexed inside the city limits. So the street is inside the city limits. And that's also a big thing. When you call public safety, they say, well, we don't know if it's in the city, it might be in the county. And we get the back and forth of who's going to respond.
Now tell me which one Collier Street is.
It's the one on the back side.
Let me back up to the map. There you go.
Yep, see, it's this one right here. It runs right up to Pine Log to Henry Street.
Okay, so Henry's the back one then?
Henry's the back street, right?
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
So I know my house is the third from the corner from Henry and Collier, and in the morning time, if I back my vehicle in at nighttime, I can't get out of my driveway in the morning time to go to work because people park bumper to bumper, and they're just inconsiderate and won't let you out of your driveway. So I have to pull my vehicle in backwards every night so I can sometimes force my way out the driveway to go to work in the morning. So traffic is a big problem at the school on those streets.
Okay.
But I think we're expecting that to improve. I mean, I think that's the whole idea behind
Right.
the new expanded car lane and all that. So having all that back up on Henry and even around the Collier and all that, hopefully gets significantly better with the increased stacking inside the school grounds. So
Right, well, that's what I say, he said he was going to increase that, but y'all going to increase the student load going there. And a lot of kids walk up and down Collier Street going to Kennedy and going to South Aiken and we would like, on Collier Street, like to see the sidewalk done a little differently because, the kids walk on it, there's no curb, sometimes they have to walk in the roadway. I know I live on the side of the street that has the sidewalk. On Tuesdays, when they pick up yard debris, I have no other place to put my yard debris but slap on the sidewalk because there's nowhere to put yard debris. And they said, well, put it in your yard. I did that for a while, but when the city come by and scooped up the
Everything.
yard, right? And then you had to go out and buy new sod and resod your yard. So the only place I have to put my yard debris is right on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, I think this board is probably charged with hearing the specific school-related zoning variance and special requests for the building itself.
Okay.
Sounds like the gentleman has an issue he'd like to approach the city with, but I'm not sure this board is where he
Okay.
needs to do it.
Yeah, that's correct. It wouldn't necessarily be, there's really no nexus in our ordinance for this board to be able to require that the school do that. However, that's something that staff can relay to the city manager's office and engineering utilities as a concern, and, you know, maybe be able to consider it as part of future capital improvement programs.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Well, thank you very
Sound
much.
good, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to the board? Okay. Seeing no other information, I'd like a motion, please.
Do we have to have a motion for this and then for the one for this?
I believe it would be more proper to have, two separate motions on one for the, a motion and a vote on the special exception, and a motion on a vote for the variance request to the planting strip requirement.
You got that page? It's about the fourth one.
Because we will be essentially writing these up in two separate orders.
Okay. If we could have a motion first on application 19-92005.
Okay. Madam Chair, I will attempt to word it properly, but I would like to make a motion to approve application number 19-92005 for a special exception for additions and renovations to the public educational facility on property zone RS10, generally at 255 East Pine Log Road. Tax parcel number 122-09-06-001 as depicted in the submitted concept plan, and the final order to run with the land and be recorded in the Aiken County RMC office.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Hearing none. I have, how many in favor? Okay, that looks like it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, now if we could consider variance request number 19-93010.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance for application 19-93010 for the planting strip along Pine Log Road to remain the depth as it is, and this is for the property at 255 East Pine Log Road, and for it to run with the land and for it to be recorded in the RMC office.
And for clarification, we'll say that's approximately 15 feet.
Approximately 15 feet, correct.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Bud? Do I have any discussion?
Looking for a second?
No, we have a second discussion. None? Okay. Having no discussion, do I have a, who's all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous also. Okay, I guess that sums it up, right? Okay.
So the board can either call for adjournment or ask for a motion and second for adjournment.
Would I like to have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you very much.
Are you not hearing 006 today?
It was continued.
Why was it changed?
The applicant asked.